Good from Carl Cameron. The health care battle now moves back to the Senate, and you can expect Republicans to offer up some challenges to the so-called fixes to this bill, especially when it comes to increased spending. On the phone with us right now is Senator Gregg. He's a Republican from New Hampshire, also the ranking member of the Senate Budget Committee. So, Senator Gregg, where do you go from here? Where does the Republican Party go in the Senate as far as tackling this 150 pages of amendments that you have ahead of you?
Well, first, your listeners should understand that the big bill has passed, the president's going to sign it, and that the government's going to expand dramatically by $2.5 trillion, and that the government's going to be fully engaged in managing your health care, which I think is going to be a very unfortunate event, both on the fiscal side, because we can't afford it, and on the health care side, because I think it'll reduce quality. As to the trailer bill, which was really, I call it the buy it bill rather than the fix it bill, because basically they used it to get the votes in the House. That's going to have a lot of procedural challenges, and also it's an amendable vehicle, so we will offer amendments to try to make it a better bill to the extent you can. It's really such a bad bill that's hard to do, but we'll try to knock out the taxes in it, and obviously try to address issues of how you can keep your insurance if you're employed and your employer decides to drop you.
So what does that exactly mean? We've seen a lot of back and forth between the Senate and the House, different politicians at this time. For us who are watching this carefully, are we looking at days, weeks for this? What does that really mean when you say you're going to be tackling some of these amendments?
Well, the bill comes to the floor under strict rules which have to be followed. The first rule is that it's a reconciliation bill, so it's a budget bill, which means it should only have in it language which affects the budget as its primary purpose. It can have policy, but the policy has to be subservient to the budget action. Second, it's 20 hours of debate, and then you go into amendments. But at the end of 20 hours, there's no more debate, although theoretically you could have amendments that went on for quite a while. So it's hard to say what the time frame is on it, but I would presume it would be finished some point towards the end of this week if we started it on Tuesday.
You know, we mentioned at the top of the show that you're a ranking member of the Senate Budget Committee. We have a lot of things ahead of us, including the economy, job growth, financial regulation reform. You really have to work across the aisle to get some of these other reforms passed, or at least looked at. Do you think you're going to be able to do that? Being what the health care reform debate has been, are you going to be able to work with your colleagues to get all those other issues done as you work over the next several months?
Well, not if they do it the way they did the health bill, which was to basically ram it through and not allow us to participate in the process. As you know, in the Senate, it was on the floor, the major bill, the key amendment was on the floor for only 3 days, and no amendments were allowed, and then they voted on, and then they forced us to vote on Christmas Eve on it. And then in the House, of course, there were no amendments allowed also. So that's not what you'd call, and the bill was drafted in an office somewhere behind a hidden door. We don't really know where it was drafted. So if that's the approach that's taken, you're not going to make much progress. However, I've got a number of bipartisan initiatives going forward right now, and I hope to succeed in those. Obviously, in tax reform, Senator Wyden and I have put together a bipartisan proposal, Senator Conrad and I on entitlement reform. And hopefully down the road we can get back to functioning as a Congress versus an autocracy.
All right. Well, Senator Gregg, short on time here, but thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Trace.